What was your name, sir?
Mitchell.
Mitchell, what's your question, buddy?
You said 3 signings, so who was the third signing?
There's a journalist in the room, so I'll tell you over there later on. It was an overseas-based player, and it was nearly a done deal. And if I'd got him, he would have been the best player in the A-League. I hope to get him next year.
Mike, we've got cover all over the park, excuse me, for everyone, but do we have cover for Bessa this year?
Well, last week we tried Kwame Gamara up there. Now, if this kid recognises his own talent, he's got the capability to play in that position. One thing I'll say about Bess, and I'm probably tempting fate by saying this, he's the most resilient bloke I know. And I don't think he's going to miss again. But you can't fly by the wind like that, you've got to be prepared. So we have some options, there's some things we've been working on, and hopefully, if need be, they'll come off. But as I say, I expect Best to play. We've got a very exciting front six of players, plus our fullbacks that attack around the outsides, and we've got versatility. And there's one word, I don't know if it is a word, but I use it now, interchangeability, but people that can change positions. And I think that's what you'll see a fair bit of this season.
First one, how do you feel about our key signing Manny Mackay leaving to play for Socceroos in the first 2 games of our A-League matches?
Yeah, not good at all, because the people who are cheating are the fans. And look, it'd be hypocritical of me to stand up here and say that there's not something that's playing in our favour at the same time, because we're playing Wellington away first game, and they're going to be missing about 3 or 4 players. So we get the rub of the green and there, but we lose money. But regardless of that, no team in the A-League should be missing players for international duty, in my opinion. There should be a FIFA-free date, or they shouldn't be picked. There's hundreds of Australians in Europe, and they should be picked, and the A-League should get precedence.
We can grab a pause on that. Garmy, second question.
I know that Manny Smith's the captain for Brisbane Roar last year. With Manny Mackay coming in, is he going to be a new captain, or is Manny Smith going to be?
No, Manny Smith's the captain. Very happy with Manny. He's a good guy. He's a leader. But the good news is that doesn't faze Manny Mackay. I've known Manny for a long time, and he's just slotted in. He's one of the guys, and he'll be leading on the pitch. Once you walk over the white line, doesn't matter who's got the armband on. I want everybody leading.
I'm Greg.
What was your question?
Mike, if you could sign a current international footballer, regardless of budget, who would it be and why?
Would Lionel Messi be the answer to that one? Well, if budget's not an issue.
Yeah. Sergio Aguero plays for Man City, Argentinian as well. I just think I'm not a Man City fan, so that's one for the ages, that one. No, I think he's a genius, and he's got a very low centre of gravity. If I said Lionel Messi, that would have been pretty boring, wouldn't it?
Sorry.
But no, Sergio Aguero, I think he's a fantastic player. Robin van Persie, I mean, you could go on, couldn't you?
Any question then?
Justin, and what are you looking for in young players? What main attributes are you looking for? Because I work in a high school working with kids who are trying to make it through NPL and things like that. What attributes do you want to see them developed when you can pick them and things like that?
Well, that's a good question. We did an exercise last year. I got the guys in the coaching staff to do a Brisbane Roar player profile, position specific. So what we're basically looking at is what are the main attributes of our senior players in key areas, and then how do we then go back to the grassroots and start to identify those attributes and then teach them and develop them. It's something that is dear to my heart because I've been involved in youth development for a long time, and I read something recently about Germany, and it said that the Germans changed their system of youth development in 2000. The FA took over the running of development, and the quote went something like, we put expert coaches in with our youth because we care about them and the future of German football. And I think that's the key to Australia's future, because an ex-player who comes out of the A-League, the first thing they think about is they want the glamour, they want the television, they still want a big salary, and they want to go and work at the top levels. But they're not necessarily guided or prepared to go down to the key areas. So I think there needs to be funding available to make sure that we're really hammering the the quality down at this level of development. But to answer your question, we're looking for, specifically for a Brisbane Roar player, we're looking for people with the ability to kick with both feet, to be tactically aware in terms of can they receive the ball between the lines, can they face forward, can they play forward, can they penetrate with an early pass, can they get blind runs behind the ball, can they get defending, can they close the ball down, can they really hunt in packs, do they recognise how to keep possession when, if I'm here as a defender, do they play the ball on the other side to the other guy. So things I'm sure you're already working on, but there's no secrets. What it is about getting the right people in the right places and then putting the right program in place and believing in it and keep hammering it home. Kids today are on phones, the kids are good home from school today, they'll go straight to the laptop or they'll sit down, so the physical literature is not being taught as it should be. I could go on for hours. But with Brisbane Roar, we're embarking on a future which will hopefully enhance our opportunity to develop our own Brisbane Roar players. That will take time, it will take resources, and it will take people with very strong convictions to make it happen.
Just to add to that, I think, Mike, we will talk about a couple of times with players coming through the Brisbane Roar and joining the youth program. It's not just about the football on the field, it's also about us teaching the culture as well off the field.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I can guess you can get 50 people in the room up here and say, well, explain what culture is. My view of culture is that you have a vision, you have values and you have behaviours, but the culture is all about everyday behaviours. If you are accepting that someone walks in and they're 15 minutes late for training or something like that, and you say, oh, it doesn't matter, why should it ever be any different? They'll always be late for training. So little things like that, your culture is so important, and we want to have a holistic approach, which I think is really important in any development area. It's not just about the football, it's about the scholastic ability, but the physical literature as well as academia is absolutely vital.
I've noticed certainly last year that you mentioned about the DNA within Roar. What I noticed last year was a lot of those A-League sides are stepping up to the plate, so they too have the close-in game, speed, quick turnarounds. How tough is it to now take another step forward and improve to try and stay ahead?
It's very tough, because what Brisbane Roar did is they actually set the standard for, in my view, they taught the A-League how to play football. They started playing football before anybody else did. And what I mean by that is a lot of people play fight ball. Let's knock it up the park and two people fighting for it and let's see who comes out the winner. What we do, and I think we do it better than everybody else, is we play out from the back and we build through the middle and we bring the front guys in. People are working us out, they're trying to close us down in the front third, makes it more difficult, so we have to get cleverer and we have to make sure that our players are getting smarter, the young ones that we're bringing in. So it's not easy, and as I said before, Marco asked the question, be judged in 12 months' time. It's an ever-evolving A-League. You see what Western Sydney did last year, you did see what Central Coast did last year. Some smart people out there, some smart players, so it ain't easy, but we'll be certainly giving it a damn good try.
As a lot of people in here will be aware, Luke Bratton is a name that's a player that's come from a local club here in Brisbane, is now representing the Roar. Can you mention any new young kids that are coming through local clubs here through the Roar that we're expecting to see in the next couple of years?
Yeah, good question. One thing we did this year was we brought in five what we thought were our best youth team prospects. Lachlan Jackson, who's a centre-back, Patrick Theodore, Brandon Barella, who are sort of wide players who can play in the midfield as well, Benny Litfin and Kwame Yeboah. All of them are training with us on a full-time basis since June the 3rd. Now, I'll just quickly go off track a little bit just to explain to you about the problems that we have in the local scene. If you look at an A-League player, they train for 48 weeks of the year, at approximately 10 hours a week, at high intensity and good quality. That's 480 hours per year. A typical state league player, whether it be the NPL or BPL, whatever the league is, plays for 26 weeks of the year, maybe 3 to 4 hours a week. So they're unbelievably behind. So if you multiply that by 5 years, you can see the accumulation effect. So if we bring in a player that we recognise as a decent player, we bring him into one of our training sessions, very early on his adrenaline is rushing and he feels great. Then we keep him for an extra week, and he says, gee, they've got to do this every day. This is the intensity every day. And what happens is, they get dragged down by it because they haven't got the physical makeup and the mental makeup to cope long term. So that, if you bring someone from a local league, it's a long-term project. That's why it's absolutely vital, and the question the guy asked me over here before, is that we get it right in youth development. I believe very, very strongly and fervently that in 10 years' time, we at Brisbane Roar could have a conveyor belt of players playing A-League for Brisbane Roar if we get the structures right and we get all the relationships right and the players are developed in the right way. And that's not just what Brisbane Roar can do, it's what Football Queensland can do, and it's what all the clubs can do. We're Queensland, we're one. Brisbane Roar is a Queensland team.
Ladies and gentlemen, will you please thank Mike Mulvey for his time.